Hi guys. Hi. I've been away for some time and I'm going to share everything that's been happening, but I'm really glad to be back. Thank you for checking on me, sending me messages, all of that. It wasn't my intention to be away for that long. I didn't know I would need that much time off. And I'm going to tell you guys exactly what happened. Essentially, pretty much, I was I was recovering from surgery, and the surgery was to remove fibroids. So in 2021, I was doing a normal routine checkup, just trying to figure out, just normal routine checkup, just to make sure everything's fine, doing my normal annual checkup. And in part of this, one of the tests was actually, I was an ultrasound. And that's the great thing about like doing medical and healthcare, you know, in a place like Nigeria, is that the truth is you get access to a lot of services at a more affordable rate versus if, for example, you were in a place like America where, before you can get access to an ultrasound, your doctor, your primary care has to recommend it, or there has to be a specific reason why you feel like you need an ultrasound. But I was doing my annual checkup, and this annual checkup was done at clinics. I think that's the name of it. And part of the whole annual checkup, they allow you to do an ultrasound. Anyways, so while doing the ultrasound, the guy just says to me, "Oh, looks like you have fibroids. Ooh, and they're pretty large." And he moves on. And I was like, "What? What'd you just say? What'd you just say?" Anyways, so that was kind of a shock because, to be honest, no one in my family had a history of fibroids, not my sister, not my mom, which is quite an anomaly, to be honest, because the statistics are, I believe I want to say 7 or 8 out of 10 Black women have it. So I began to kind of explore my options, but I didn't begin to explore my options because I had any symptoms that were affecting me. I just wanted to know exactly like how to manage it and what to do. So I had a few conversations and consultations with a few doctors in Nigeria, and they were like, "Well, if it's not bothering you, there's no reason why you should touch it or anything." I left it. It wasn't bothering me, and it wasn't affecting my periods. If history on the type of periods I had very like annoying periods, but nothing too concerning. So I would just take paracetamol maybe like once a day when my period came, because I had a bit of like just fatigue and I was a bit tired and maybe my stomach hurt just a little bit, but nothing that was so intense that I couldn't function or I had a hard time. You know what I mean? So 2021, fine. There's no issues. I continue to live my life as usual. 2022, I begin to see a change. And the change is that my stomach begins to kind of like come out and push out, and I can begin to feel the fibroids. So I was a little bit concerned. I begin to also see a change in my periods. They begin to get a little bit longer. They begin to get a little bit more. My period pain really increases, and then I begin to notice clots as well. So when I'm bleeding and there's clots coming out. This is 2022, 2023. By 2023, my stomach is significantly increasing. It's large, and like when I lay down flat, I can see the actual fibroid like just protruding from my stomach. And this continues through 2024. By 2024, my stomach was like, I looked like I was 3 months pregnant, and my periods were really intense. They were now like doing 7 days, and the bleeding was heavy. I was going through pads like I had to stop using, like I couldn't even use tampons anymore because I was just gushing blood. So I began to explore different options all through the end of 2024, and I wanted to find out what my options are. Visited variety of, and I did most of this in America, but visited about 7 doctors, and I'm not exaggerating, 7 different doctors, because I needed to find someone who would be able to understand my fibroids, take care of them properly, and also find out what the different options I have, because I know there's the surgery that you can do, the robotics, where you take out, where they don't have to cut you open. And then there was I think they call it UE, where they use like laser to cut the blood flow to the fibroid, so they don't take it out, and then the fibroid is supposed to die naturally, and it's supposed to die organically. But the problem with that one is it's more of a new procedure, and there was not enough research regarding women who've done it and have had children afterwards. Like, there's not enough samples, there's just not enough research. Like all things fibroids, there's not enough research, and we'll get into that later. So that, although that was an option, it wasn't an option for me, because my plan is to have children, and I will have children. So I did not want to expose myself to something that was going to affect my fertility. So, we continue to go ahead and I continue to go ahead and explore different options. And then I finally, after consulting with different doctors, I realized that I would have to have a proper open myomectomy. So they'd have to cut me open and take them out, because they were just that large. And they were large. Like, I was just good at hiding it and dressing, but I looked like I was 3 months pregnant. Like, my stomach was not flat, and my stomach is usually quite flat. When I gain weight, I spread on the side. My stomach doesn't spread forward. So this was the first time that, like, I had a gut and a belly and like something really intense. Yes, I'll have like love handles, but like to have a gut as well. I couldn't suck in my stomach. I couldn't hide it. It was out. So I made the decision to go ahead and do the open myomectomy, and I began to prepare for that surgery to happen at the beginning of summer, and did all the things that I thought I could, tried as much as possible to watch videos, ask people about it. But the truth about it is, open myomectomies are, I think generally in America, they're just not that common anymore. I think a lot of people use laparoscopic surgery. I hope that's the name, but they don't cut people open like that anymore, because also a lot of people don't have like the sizes dictates whether you're going to be cut open. And I think a lot of people catch it earlier and choose to do the surgery before it grows. But for me, I didn't have like intense symptoms until later. It was later, when they were really large, that it began to affect my periods, and it began to affect like the state of like how my stomach looked and everything like that, and just made me really uncomfortable and always bloated, and always feeling like there was something pressure in my stomach, where I was full, that feeling. I did as much as I could to prepare for the surgery. I was working out, I was lifting weights, doing all of that, but nobody can prepare. I don't think you can ever prepare for that kind of trauma to your body, to be sliced open from here to here. And fortunately for me, my incision is actually quite low. It's lower in my bikini line, and it's actually done pretty well. It was, you'd have to kind of look to really tell, but still, the healing process was and is so intense. It is still happening. I'm still healing in the fact that, just working on my pelvic floor, like physically, I can go out and whatever. I don't think you'd be able to tell if I didn't tell you, but my insides are still healing. And this process now that I've taken it out and I've removed it, and I'm thankful to God that I'm alive to be able to share and be here and do that. And my birthday's coming up and everything like that. I think the biggest thing is going forward, what does it look like to heal, and what does it look like to also ensure it doesn't grow back? The problem with fibroids is that they grow back. Usually they might not go back as intense, but because they're triggered by a hormonal imbalance and too much estrogen, if one doesn't balance their hormones, it's gonna grow back. So that's something that I've been having to deal with. That's something that I've been having to think about, and I've having to make steps towards. And let me know if you guys want me to do a part 2 in the comments on all the vitamins and many things that I'm drinking and taking to work on balancing my hormones, and also the steps that I'm taking towards changing my diet. I truly believe that our bodies know what to do and know how to heal itself. And I believe you can naturally get rid of fibroids. I truly believe this because I think it's a hormonal imbalance, and a hormonal imbalance has a lot to do with what we consume, what we eat, and deficiencies. So, for example, I don't want this video to get too long, so I'll probably do this in part 2. But in part 2, I will share and I'll talk about things that I found out I was deficiency in that I think contributed to the growth of my fibroids, things that I ate and drank that I think contributed to the growth of my fibroids, and also things that I'm changing going forward that I'm hoping will prevent the fibroids from going back. So that's pretty much it. That's what's been happening. Talking about my healing process, I can do another video on that and just the experience of that, and share clips and videos of me trying to be in a hospital and everything. It was my very first time ever being hospitalized, my very first time ever having surgery. So yeah, that's where I've been, that's what I've been doing, and I'm so pleased to be back, and thank you guys for all the love, care, and support. I am excited towards moving to a place of, I'm just basically working towards getting back to my full self, and I am back to my full self. But the healing process is a process, it's a journey, and it's one that I'm so thankful to God that I get to take and be part of. So besos, kisses, bye.